Well, welcome back, everybody. We are so happy to be back here on this week's episode of Surviving Life's Pickles. We hope over the last week, since the last time we've seen you, that you guys have survived all of your pickles. And if you're still going through pickles, hopefully the information today will help you get through with what you're going through. And if not, reach out to us and we'd be happy to do an episode and talk about what you're dealing with and invite a professional in to maybe help give us some advice on how to guide down that path if you guys are going through it. So I just have to start off saying how grateful I am, how grateful we are for all of you tuning in again today. You guys take this hour to 90 minutes out of your busy life every week to hang out with us, to listen to the information we bring, the stories of our wonderful guests, and we couldn't do it without you. So thank you for tuning in. Today, we're joined by Hillary, my wonderful wife.
Hello, everybody.
And Jay Gould. Jay, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited.
It's been an up and down week, but I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. We're going to make it great today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, everybody, if you've tuned into any of these episodes before, you know we start off with what we're grateful for, sets the tone for what we're going to talk about. And if you haven't, we do start off every one of these episodes with what we're grateful for to set that tone. And it really just helps us center ourselves so that we are better prepared for you guys.
It gives us a little bit of a reminder each day to center ourselves and remind ourselves what we're grateful for.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and start, and we'll just work around the circle today. And today is I'm so grateful for friends and family and the memories that we create. Last week, I lost such a dear friend, Lang Fei. I know you're up there listening right now, my friend. I know you're riding that bull, Mr. Cowboy, but Lang, I've known him for 15 plus years. We've worked in the same industry. I worked directly with him. I was a vendor for him. We became really good friends. And he was my biggest cheerleader. Ever since we started this with medical stuff that went on, Lang was the guy that was always there. He was always calling me. He was always checking in. He was always saying, man, I love your pickle this week. I mean, all the things that just a genuine friend would do. And he'd been struggling with a lot of health issues over the last 5 years. And they finally, unfortunately, got the best of him last weekend. And I mean, he died at such a early age of 48, just way too young. But heaven definitely got a prize cowboy, and he's up there doing good work. But it's the memories. It's the memories that we created and the things that will always stay with me from that man that are the most important. And so I am just so grateful to always be able to keep him a part of my life right here because of those memories, and know that he's always watching out for us. And, you know, that's my grateful for today.
It's beautiful, babe.
Your turn.
My turn. Today I am grateful for my higher power, which is the great outdoors and nature. And we had the opportunity to spend 5 beautiful days out camping in nature, and it just really recentered me, giving us opportunity to spend time with family, with our boys, and just making good memories like you can when you're on vacation or when you're camping. And I just am so grateful for that, of being able to recenter myself and then come back and just always have a better outlook.
Yeah. Re-energized.
Yeah, re-energized. So
Love it.
yeah.
Thank you.
I love it.
How about
All
you,
right,
Jay?
I have a lot of things to be grateful for, but I am grateful for Harley, my dog, who unfortunately I had to put down yesterday at 5:30. And it's kind of, you got both touched on it, is the memories that I have of her. I shared a picture on Facebook of her at 8 weeks, at 7 years, and as of Sunday. And she saved my life many times. She would she knew when I was having a bad hair day, she would come up and just put her head on my lap. And if I was in a good mood, she'd put the Frisbee.
Yeah.
And the last couple of years, I'd throw the Frisbee and she'd look at it and then she'd go lay down and I'd go get the Frisbee. So I was okay with that. But so many memories on the river, and she lived a great life. She normally would live till 10. She was 12 and a half. And all the people that reached out and have just checked on me over the last couple of days. But I will say yesterday, there's this blue stone on the river, and I live up Provo Canyon on the river.
Mm-hmm.
And I sit on that and I put my feet in the water and I let her play, and I call it my meditation rock. And I sat there last night and I miss her, and I'm about getting emotional. And my mom called, and it was the best timing. It was exactly what I needed. And we had a good talk. And I got some pictures, which don't do the lighting justice. I mean, I love the nature too.
Yeah.
And but I would sit there and I just had good memories of her. And I'm grateful for the 12 and a half years I got with her.
Yeah, our fur babies are really just like our regular babies, and it's you really are losing a part of the family.
Yeah, I was sitting there last night and eating a cheesesteak with my roommate, and I always give her the last bite, and I reach for her and I'm like, she's not here.
Yeah.
And I was bummed. And Ed's like, my roommate, he's all, yeah, I tried the same thing and I kind of raised up and stepped over her, but she's not there either.
Yeah.
And she's normally laying on the floor right outside his bedroom. And it's going to take some time to get used to, and 12 years with her.
Yeah.
And so it's tough, but I'm grateful that I'm trying to look back with the gratitude of just the time I got to spend
the time you got to spend with her, the amazing things she did for you in your life, and and those are what you always get to keep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the unconditional love that our animals bring to us.
Yeah.
She's amazing, and she saved me more than once and kept me sober more than once, and she was my constant companion.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Jay.
I'm glad that you did get as much time with her that you did. And
well, even towards the end, I remember telling Ed, just don't let me wait too long. I don't want her to suffer. I just want her to have a good life. And Saturday he called me and said, it's time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wasn't ready for it, but you are ready for it, and it's holiday weekend in Utah. So I had to wait till yesterday to make the calls. And I will say this, there's a gentleman who he donated $300
Wow.
on Venmo, and he said vet care.
Yeah.
And that's all it said. And I just thanked him so much. And it meant the world. I mean, it was, it really helped at a hard time right now. And I mean, it's, you want to do the best for your dog, but it's 100 degrees. It's be hard to dig a hole up where I live, and it's all rocky. And so we had her cremated, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to look at this whole, everything that's going on right now with gratitude.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you start this off like that.
Well, I mean, one thing to don't forget, Jay, is you do need your time to grieve as well. I mean, like you said, she's part of the family. And so be grateful for all the memories, but allow yourself to grieve and feel that. I mean, that's the one thing we talk about a lot on the show is sometimes you just have to sit with your feelings and just let them go.
I drove up yesterday and to the vet, and I made a phone call to my friend Winter, and I just started bawling. And I had to sit outside the vet for a minute and just gather my thoughts as I'm crying and I'm petting her and just get my wits. And then I went inside, and the people inside were amazing at their jobs, and I cried a lot more. But then I stayed with her until she was done. And then I remember I said a prayer and I added gratitude in it, but I remember looking up because she's not in her body anymore.
Yeah.
And I gave her a kiss and snuggled her up and then walked out. But I cried a lot yesterday, a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
But I'm not done.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to fight tears right now, honestly.
So this is a safe place and you can let them flow because you're getting me here because I know, I know what you went through. We have unfortunately gone through that since me and Hillary have been together. We've gone through that twice. So
I never cried so hard when we put Rosie down.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I've lost, this is my 4th time.
It's hard. And then we keep doing it, right? Because we love them. We love having them around.
I think I'm done with dogs, but I'll probably end up with another.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, I mean, it is what it is, but I didn't plan on getting Harley and I did. And she's saved me. And I remember one time I was at Cirque where I work, and I was a shift lead at the moment, and I'd come home at midnight. I worked 4 to midnight, and I got home and I'm good, but I had somebody moving in, and they kept blowing me off like they hadn't paid me money and they hadn't paid the rent. And 2 weeks in, I finally called them and said, you know what? It's not going to work out. I'll bring the money down tomorrow. And I grabbed a suitcase and it was full of, it sounded like mason jars, and it was full of antique porcelain dolls. And they'd been taking them from somebody. And then I grabbed this CD case and there's a light bulb meth pipe with 3 puddles in it. And I'm like, my first thought was, can call in sick tomorrow and I don't have to UA for 5 days. I can get a lighter right there and there's a straw, and I can get more from this girl and I can start downloading some porn. And as I'm thinking that, I'm swearing. And I look down and I saw my dog and she thinks I'm yelling at her. She's kind of crouching down, and that snapped me out of it. And that's just one of the many stories. But I said, Harley, let's go. And I walked out to the dumpster and I broke that pipe. And I'm grateful because I went in the next day and I told my boss at the time, and he said, he just kind of smiled. I go, what? And he goes, I gave my 2-week notice 12 days ago. Richard Losey's on his way up to talk to you about being the coordinator. And that night I became the coordinator.
Wow.
And it's because of my dog. And who knows where I'd be? I'd be in prison or running or dead or who knows. And it was one of the first times I said I was proud of myself.
Yeah.
I made the right choice. And that's never easy to do for anybody.
No, but she was part of that decision.
She was a huge part of that decision. And she saved me many a time. And I'm grateful for her.
Yeah.
I'll miss her. And I'm not done crying.
Yeah. No, and you know what? There'll be days, Jay, even years from now, that you'll just have one of those memories, or you'll go visit you'll sit on that rock again, and those memories come flooding back, and the emotions are there, and that's part of life, right? We need to experience them. So, well, Jay, you have such an amazing story, and you have so many things that we could talk about today, but we really want to we want to hear your recovery story. And you just shared a little bit about it with Harley, but let's start with your recovery story, and then we want to go in and start talking about a little bit of the good work you're doing here in Utah that a lot of people just don't know what's going on in the homeless community and the stuff that is available and how they can help. So
it's funny how it's all evolved and taken shape, but I started by smoking weed first, I think when I was 17. And then I got into drinking, and then I got into cocaine because it was the 80s. And then crack hit, and I learned how to cook that up. And back, a lot of people don't remember crank, but we did a lot of crank, and then meth. And I thought I would stop at 21. I thought I'd stop at 24. I thought I'd stop at 28. And then at 30, I'm like, well, I guess this is my life. And I was always that happy drunk and always had fun, I thought. But I look back and it's, there's shoulda, coulda, woulda, didn't. But as I got into it, I actually quit drinking first, because you can drive high, but you can't drive drunk.
Yeah.
And I delivered pianos. So I used to take I'd load up my pipe before I left, and I'd go in and drop off a piano, and everyone loved me because I'm bringing a piano in their house.
Yeah.
So I'm like Santa.
Yeah.
And I'd get there, and I would go in their bath. I'm like, hey, can I use your restroom first? And I'd turn on the water and I'd sneeze every time I hit the lighter. And I had one of those little toilet paper rolls with bounce sheets in it. And I could cover your face with smoke and it smelled like I did laundry.
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of survived. And I ate because I'm Hawaiian. I had to eat on time and act like I'm hungry, but I learned to eat light and just make it look right. And I did that for too many years. And it was it was hard, but it was my life and it was my choice. And it was, you know, it was hard. But as I always thought I'd meet a girl that would get me sober and clean me up and get me back to church. And then I finally realized I probably not going to meet her in the bar or the basement.
Yeah.
And so I started to work on myself. And I'm like, I got to the point where I don't want to say I was suicidal, but I didn't want to exist.
You didn't want to suffer anymore.
Yeah.
No, I don't want my mom to be sad. I don't want my brother to pay for a funeral. I just don't. How do you turn your light off? How do you just not exist?
Yeah.
And you can't. I mean, we're here. And I finally realized, and I had some good talks with my brother, and I started to bare knuckle. I never went to rehab.
I never knew that.
Never went through any of that, but I tell people I went to my dad's retirement home and I called it the cocoon, but I never came out looking like a butterfly. I just go there and I started to get sober and fight through it and talk to my doctor and started talking to my bishop. And the first time I did 12 step, my bishop actually gave me a LDS book and I did it. And it's pretty much the same steps, but it adds scripture.
Yeah.
And I went through it and I did it and I'd turn it in and he'd look at it and he'd read it and he goes, this is good, but I think you can dig deeper. And I'm like, you don't know what the hell I've been through. You don't know. I mean, like, I'd get pissed off, but then he was right.
Yeah.
And so I dig deeper and turn it back in. And I remember when I started doing the step work and it started to change the way I thought about things. And I did my 4th step and my brother was asking me, he goes, how do you feel? You feel better? And I'm like, not really. Then I forgot about this whole 8-year period of Park City and that whole scene. And he goes, that's going to happen. I mean, you partied for 24 years and it was, there's things you're going to remember things as you get clarity and as you get sober. And it was true, but I started, I needed a job and I got a job at New Roads and I worked down there for about a year and I didn't realize I was going to like recovery, but I liked working with the kids and they weren't necessarily a 12 step, but there was a guy that held an HA meeting and he taught 12 step. He taught AA and I liked it and it kind of made sense to me and it helped me see the red flags earlier and just pick them up. So I started going through it and it was hard. And there were times where, I'd go through, I think I had 3.5 years of relapses and just slips. And I remember the last time I slipped, I went to my bishop and I just said, hey, I just effed up. We need to talk. And he met me at 10:30 in the morning. And I said, I just screwed up. I went out last night and played volleyball and my friend was telling me about his divorce and we smoked out and I hated it. I can't believe I did it. Maybe I'm just a loser. Maybe this is my lot in life. Maybe this is just the way I'm built. And he just leaned back and started laughing. I'm like, what the hell are you laughing at? This is serious. And he just said, well, you told me you smoked weed one time for 24 straight years. And I go, yeah. And he goes, well, you just went 6 months and got high and you didn't like it.
Yeah.
You're not that person anymore. He kind of pissed me off because he took away my anger.
Yeah.
Like
you wanted to be angry.
You wanted
that place. And like, I didn't know what to do. And then he gets up on this whiteboard and I'll never forget this because he gets up and he goes, look, I'm your coach. You're the quarterback in your own life. I can make you come in and hit the weights until your arms don't work. I can make you run hills till you throw up. I can make you watch film till your eyes fall out. But you just threw an interception. what are you going to do? You're still up 28-3. And I was like, what the hell has logic got to do with it? Pissed me off again. It's like, I can't really be mad at that because it made sense. And I mean, that was 20 years ago, and I turned 2 corners.
So it almost sounds like that was one or kind of the biggest aha moment in your life where you started realizing kind of, okay, maybe what I'm doing or maybe the path I'm on is the right one now. I've done the wrong one long enough.
Yeah. I realized I'm not that person anymore, but who do I want to be?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I have a lot of flaws and a lot of bad habits that I worked on, and I don't want to be known for being late for dinner or late for appointments or late for everything. I want to be the person that's on time. I want to be the person that, like, who am I?
Yeah.
And it's like I had to figure that out. And luckily, this gentleman down at New Roads taught me AA and how it works. And as I went through that first booklet, I went, I finished that one up. I went through it with my bishop. I remember going to this junior high. A friend of mine was teaching health, but she asked, hey, can you come answer some questions and, talk to my class? I'm like, sure. So I get up there and she goes, yeah, it's about 9:00 right now. We have to leave here by 10:10. And this is Jay. I'm like, okay. And so I guess I was supposed to share, and I ended up sharing to 6 classes that day.
Wow.
And I had no idea what I was doing. And I shared my story. And these kids, some of them had a rougher life than I did, and they're 14, 15 years old. And I just remember the first one, they said, she said afterwards, she goes, you weren't prepared for this, were you? I'm like, no, I thought you were going to ask me a couple questions. And she goes, I'm sorry, but look at one person and talk to them, tell them your story. And if you get comfortable, talk to the class. And by the end of the day, I got more comfortable talking about it. And at lunchtime, I got a lot of high fives and people walked me out to my car at the end of the day. And the coolest thing is 2 weeks later, I got probably 25 letters from those kids, and they had heard my story and just, thank you for sharing. Thank you for coming up to my class. And you don't feel like you make, my story is just blah. It's whatever, but it's my story.
Yeah.
It's your story.
And it's interesting when you find those similarities between people and you make that connection, it means a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it does help.
I'm curious to kind of reel back a little bit. So, did you grow up here in Utah, or?
Yeah. So I was born in Hawthorne, California.
Okay.
I lived there till I was 5, but we moved here in 1970. I am 60. I was born in 65. And in 70, we actually moved to Orem above UVU, and I used to go camping down there.
Okay.
That was before they built it.
Oh, wow.
I remember they found we were riding the old 3-wheelers, the deadly ones.
Yep.
And there was, we'd catch lizards and go camping. And there was this big guy's fort where you never want to get caught there because they'd kick your butt, but you'd find cigarettes and Playboys and those kind of things. But we also found a bone one time, and BYU came down and dug up a 13-foot prehistoric sloth.
I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember
like
hearing about it. Yeah.
In Orem. And it's actually put together up at the U of U Museum of Natural History.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. It's
Pretty
like
cool.
he dug up a dinosaur in my front yard.
Yeah.
So we watched him do that. But I grew up and I went to 3 of my mom's graduations. Back then, Mountain View we had a bigger graduating class than the Utah Valley Community College or Technical College it was in the beginning. And now it's bigger than BYU.
Yeah.
But it's fun to my brother was student body president, and he was on the stage when my mom got her associates. And then we went to BYU and she got her bachelor's, and went to the U and she got her master's. And then she was a therapist and she taught psychology and sociology at UVU
Okay.
until she retired.
Wow.
And so it was kind of hard to argue how I went to college late because my mom went later. It's like, Well,
Yeah.
if she can do it, I guess I should.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, to me, it was my normal childhood. I was 8 years old. We took a Volkswagen bus all the way down to Honduras for 7 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And I got baptized LDS when down there in Honduras. And it was an adventure. And the biggest thing I remember is we can't drink the water, so we got to drink a lot of soda, which I never got to drink up here. But it it was just, I played football in high school and went to Lake Ridge, went to Mountain View, and then I found partying.
Yeah.
And I knew I wasn't going to do the church mission thing, and I fell into that scene, and the internet was just coming. Cable TV came out when it was an 8-foot satellite dish,
Mm-hmm.
and you could get every channel on this planet, but very few people had it at the time, but we'd go over and watch it. And I remember watching MTV launch and HBO launch, and yeah, and here we are today. It's kind of crazy to think
Yeah.
of what I've been able to see. And I think I was 4 years old when they went to the moon, but yeah, I grew up here in Utah, and Utah's obviously changed quite a bit. It was all orchards back then.
Yep.
We used to pick cherries and apples and peaches, and that's how we made our money,
Mm-hmm.
when we were kids.
I'd say even when I was a kid, it was all orchards. So
All
yeah.
orchards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In fact, my mom it was funny. I would ride a motorcycle. I had a bullet bike, Interceptor 785, and I'd ride through the orchards, and you could tell because they were cold, and you'd feel the cold air. But my mom knew when I was coming home 2 minutes before I got there, because my dog would bark different. Like, she was excited because Jay's coming home, and I had a Rottweiler at the time, and she could hear my bike before my mom could. And so my mom was like, "Oh, Jay will be here in just a minute."
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was kind of her warning sign.
So I want to ask,
Yeah.
during your recovery, when you'd finally hit that point of, this is not the life I want, I'm changing, and you started changing little by little, what was something, or maybe a few things, that surprised you about yourself that you learned during that time that maybe you didn't know about yourself until you started doing that deep soul searching?
Well, I remember once we had a gentleman named Neil Dastrup, and he was our employment specialist at church. And I would go over there, and he owns a insurance company, and I'd go over and help him build, like, just clean up his yard and his greenhouse. And he built a huge barn up there, and I would help him do that. And then I'd call and make appointments. Well, I mean, in early recovery, I just call in sick, and I can't make it today, and he's fine. And then the second time I did it, he lit me up, and he chewed me out. And he goes, "Look, if you can't make it, don't bother coming anymore." And I mean, I went over to work, and I felt like a dog with my tail between my legs, and I was mad at him. I wouldn't look at him, but I went and helped him, and then I went in and made appointments. Then I went in and said, "Is there anything else?" And then he talked to me. He goes, "You're not the Jay that called this morning. I don't see that. You're a different person. And who do you want to be?" And he taught me about character and made me decide. That's when I decided I'm not going to be late anymore. I'm going to show up on time. I'm going to follow through with what I say. And that moment just taught me a big life lesson. And I'll never forget that. And it seems like a simple thing, but it's who do I want to be?
Yeah.
I remember early in recovery I had a lot of anger issues. And at one point I bought a new car out of Malibu, and this guy reached through a McDonald's and handed me a sundae, and the lid wasn't on. So it fell, and I got ice cream in my new car, and I was pissed. And he just threw napkins in and closed the window. And I floored it around that thing. I slammed that door open, and I walked up and I grabbed him, and I'm ready just to throw punches. And I look out of the corner of my eye, and there's an 80-year-old woman just staring at her burger. Like, "Please don't look at me."
Yeah.
And I froze, and I never punched the guy. And I'm like, who am I to scare all these people? Like, I remember I left that place. I went to my dad's retirement home, and I bawled. And I'm like, I couldn't go to that McDonald's for 3 years, but I'm like, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to, but who do I want to be? And that's kind of how I fell into like doing service. Is I kind of live by the motto, if I can't find my smile, I'm going to help you find yours, because mine's going to show up first and probably last longer. And I would just go volunteer. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I joined this thing called Care Cuts, and we did haircuts for the homeless, which obviously I know one style and I do my own hair, but they made me the unofficial bouncer. And I've got a good way of talking to people without offending them and keeping crowd control. And I guess I was good at the front door of keeping people in and making them feel welcome. And we'd do snow cones or like cotton candy or different things. And I fell into that and I just fell in love. I mean, at very first, I went there and just swept. Like I'd sweep up hair and help set up the electronics and run cords. And then they asked me if I wanted to be one of the board members. I'm like, yeah. At first I was like, no, you guys are like way above me. You guys do this and this and this. And she goes, yeah, but so do you. I'm like, no, wait. I mean, it's hard to look at yourself and give yourself credit. But I'm like, you know what? I belong doing this, and you're as good as the people that you surround yourself with. And I wanted to be like them.
Yeah.
And that's probably why I said yes. But then I found out they're just cool people.
Yeah.
It's just they're normal, fun people that happen to be a cardiologist, lab owner, or like huge real estate guy. And I'm like, I'm just me, but I'm doing it. And they wanted to know more about me. And I was like, I was confused, but it made me feel good too.
Yeah.
But doing the haircuts and the service, I did that. I've done that for probably 9 years now.
Yeah.
And doing the haircuts for the homeless we did one. I'll never forget this. It was a back to school up at Bud Bailey Apartments. And there's a lot of immigration up there. And this guy showed up and he's a photographer and he brought the backdrop. And he said, you know what? Let's do school pictures. And the coolest thing was, if you don't have the internet, then I will print them for you. And let's get you and your sister. Let's get you and your parents after they had haircuts.
Yeah.
And he gave them all photos.
Wow.
And I remember one guy came up and he didn't really speak English very well. He's from Syria. And so's his wife and his kid. And they were waiting to get their daughter a haircut. And I remember the husband sat down and held his daughter, and the daughter's asleep. And I sat there and held her head. And I leaned it forward. I leaned it to the side. I'd move my hand. And
She was out.
And she was out. And without knowing each other's language, we knew we were happy.
Yeah.
And we were smiling and laughing. And it was one of the coolest haircuts I've ever done. And to watch that happen and to see them leave happy, or see a gal come in that is homeless, that's getting her hair cut, and she's looking in a mirror like, I don't know how long it had been, but she's like, I look beautiful. I look pretty. And she's taking the mirror and moving it all around. And I'm like, I mean, I would drive home in tears. I can't believe I get to do this.
Yeah.
I can't believe this is my life. And I'm just I called it stealing feelings. I go there because I'm not in the best mood or I'm not in the best space. And these guys blessed me so much. There was one gal that showed up in a wheelchair at the old road home downtown Salt Lake. She had 3 daughters. And the girls sat on this chair and they kicked their legs like they were at the spa. And they were so excited to get their hair cut. And it was one of the most beautiful things to watch, and to watch her mom get her hair cut. And I mean, I've got a ton of stories from care cuts that I love what we got to do. And it's evolved since COVID, and it's changed a little bit, and we've done less. But even during COVID, we gave everybody that was 12 and under a gift, and we wanted to get 250 gifts. We ended up with over 1,000.
Wow.
And we dropped them off, and they had to quarantine them and then take them in and all this. But we ended up getting some of the coolest items donated. I remember, I forget her name, but it was Miss Pleasant Grove, brought 75 wrapped gifts, and these are men, these are women, and they'd have an age group. And I just had a truck and a trailer, so I delivered them. But it was one of the coolest things I've ever done, is just to give gifts to these kids that wouldn't have gifts otherwise.
Yeah.
And from strangers, from people. And I love doing that. I love doing that kind of service work.
Yeah.
So the care cuts kind of led you into a lot of this other work that you're doing with the homeless now. That was kind of your first step into that community, right?
Yeah. I started doing that, and then at work up at Cirque Lodge, we did a drive where we had people there were buying backpacks, and my boss we bought these flashlights and headlamps, and my boss gave me all the batteries for it, which was not cheap. And we put Ziploc bags and hand towels and washcloths and hats, scarves, and gloves in each backpack. But then I said, let's leave half of it empty, because they're going to have some items. And if they have to get up and move, it's good to have a backpack. And the headlamps worked through batteries. They had a flashlight that worked on just lever. You could just pump it. And then Brian Cheese and myself went out and handed them out.
Yeah.
And we're like, one of the biggest things I like doing, and one of the biggest things I learned at Care Cuts, and we continued on with this, is we got name tags. And it's really cool watching people light up when you call their name. Instead of 712, would you like your haircut? It's like, Hillary, would you like to come get your haircut now?
Yeah.
And it's like, people know and some people said my name was Mickey Mouse or whatever, and that happened. But doing that and then transitioning to working with the homeless, there are times I've gone up with friends and we'll just go buy 50 double cheeseburgers and 50 chicken sandwiches and go a case of water and walk around. To Legacy Initiative, we did over 1,000 burritos on one Saturday every month. There was a restaurant downtown that would donate all of that and put them all together. We had hot sauce packets, and we'd walk through different sections of, like, the Library Square, Pioneer Park, different sections. And there's about 35 of us. One would be in front, I'd be in the back. And as long as you're talking, we're going to stay in between.
Yeah.
And we just took groups and handed out food to the homeless. And it just carried over to one time I was at a jazz game, and because of work, I had really good seats, and we had a box. And at the end of it, we're like, hey, what are you doing with all this food? He goes, well, we're just throwing out. I go, can I take it?
Yeah.
And give it out? And we had 35 boxes of food.
Wow.
And I mean, there's prime rib, there's shrimp, there's rolls, there's cheese trays, fruit trays, everything. And the first guy I walked out to, he looked homeless. I said, hey, are you hungry? He goes, yeah, but I'm vegan. I go, well, you want shrimp? Do you want a fruit tray, or do you want cheese? And it was interesting, as you meet these homeless people, they take what they can eat, and then they point out other homeless people. Like, you know what? They're hungry.
They're hungry too.
And we went around, and there was this gal, Megan Eaton, who she was taking home some desserts and a bunch of stuff for her kids. And we gave out all of this food to everybody. Went down to the road home. We had a bunch of, like, probably 40 chicken fingers and 40 rolls left, and then her desserts. And we went up to this guy and I said, hey, will you help us hand this out? He's at the road home, and he just called over all these kids and younger people, and he took one chicken finger. That was it. And he gave the rest of it away. And Megan started she was in tears, and she's like, you know what? My kids have enough to eat. And she got the desserts out and gave them away.
Yeah.
We went back home with nothing, just blown away by the fact that we got to give it out. And the Jazz can't give it out because they can get in trouble,
Mhm.
but they can give it to us and we can give it out.
Yeah.
And I'm just Jay. And I would do that all the time. I love giving. I was at a Blue October concert and I went to the gate and said, "Hey, can I go get my leftovers? Because they give you too much food when you buy a plate." And they're like, "No, it's, you have to buy another ticket." I'm like, "I'm just going to go right here." And one of the gate attendants heard me and goes, "Yeah, just come back to me.
Mm.
I'll let you in." And I didn't even get 15 feet and I gave it away. I'm like, "Hey, it's still warm. I got you a clean fork. Would you like this?" And the coolest thing was they were eating before I got back in.
Yeah.
And it's if I can't find my smile, I'm going to help you find yours. And giving out food, giving out water, just saying somebody's name makes me smile.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool I had one time somebody called me up and said, "Hey, do you know anybody that wants some coats?" I'm like, "Yeah." They gave me 150 brand new coats.
Yeah.
Like,
You're kind of the go-to guy, like,
I am.
especially, I mean, I know I've brought stuff to you of, I would very rather bring it to you so that you could hand it out to the women's shelter or the homeless versus, I mean, yeah, DI is great too,
Oh, yeah.
but I would way rather know that it's going to go to somebody who really, really needs it.
Even at DI, it's hard to afford $15 for this or $10 for this.
Yeah.
Or it's like, I don't have any money, but and I'm just the middleman.
Yeah.
This is what makes me smile. And I have a really good friend, Artie Mikesell, that she was younger and she called me and she goes, "Hey, how can you afford to do all this?" I'm like, "Come with me." And I had 22 2T diapers. I never had a kid. I don't know what that means, but I put it on Facebook and somebody in Orem wanted them.
Yeah.
And so I went down there and they gave me some Clorox wipes and Lysol. I took a picture, put it on Facebook. I went from Orem to Provo to North Salt Lake, Murray, Midvale, Riverton, Draper, Alpine, Highland, and I came back with 2 bags of clothes and a box of toilet paper.
Wow.
I said, "That's how you do it."
Yeah.
I spent $17 in gas, and how many smiles did we get?
Huh.
And look what I still have.
Yeah.
I started out with diapers, and now I have this. And then about a year later, she's like, "Can we do this again?" I'm like, "Sure." So we did kind of the same thing, and I guess it was St. Patrick's Day because she's like looking at her Facebook. She goes, "Hey, we must like this day because there's our picture." I'm like, "I hate that photo." "Why?" And I go, "I'm wearing the same shirt." And I was, it's long sleeve, but it was just doing that. It would help me get through a night, help me get through a week. It would just put that smile on. And I know people want it. And yeah, I've kept a couple things over the years that's kind of cool. I like that butter dish with the lid. So I kept it. And, that coat didn't fit me, but watching people put on a coat that needs it, that doesn't have one, and they're warm. And I gave away a dog bed to a gal. She had a German Shepherd. And before I drove away, the German Shepherd's laying on the bed. And I'm like, it feels good to do that. It feels good to be of service. And to me, it's a lot of the homeless are really, they struggle and it's hard right now to get through. But when you can make somebody feel good or smile, it just warms me up inside and it helps me with my own recovery. So I tell people all the time, I like going to church. I like 12 step and am, I have service in my life. If I have those 3 things in my life, my wheel spins true.
Yeah.
If I'm missing something, it's not balanced. But it's easy math to figure it out and what I need to do more of.
Working with the homeless, what has been the biggest thing that you've learned about yourself? Or what's something that they taught you?
I had one of those nights where I just was driving around and picking up things, dropping things off. And there was one night where I went down to the tree streets and this gal was donating a Christmas tree and she was kind of teary and she gave me this tree and it was flocked and lit and she said, you know what? I got to get rid of this. It's bad energy. It's bad mojo. I bought this 8 years ago with my son. He died from addiction. He was 21. He died in October and I can't have this in my house. And I told her where I work and what I do. And I put an ad out and 15 minutes later, I'm going to, of course, it's on the third floor. And this little 3-year-old answers the door and she looks at her mom and she's all, is that for us? I'm like, yeah, it's yours, but it's kind of heavy. I need your help. So she grabbed a branch and walked in and I walked in and I set it up and I had some clothes and I had this bag full of someone at work had donated a bunch of stuffed animals. And I walked downstairs and I said, look, if you like any of these clothes and it's the right size or right style, take all of them. I'd do better if I have nothing to go home with. And I go, but will you pick an animal for your daughter? And it's not from me, it's from Santa. And she sent me a picture of her hugging this rabbit that she picked. And you could see the tree in the background. And I took that photo because it didn't have her face. And I sent it to the first woman. I said, there's your energy shift. The tree you can't look at is the first tree this little girl's ever owned. And about 3.5 weeks later, the little girl needed a dresser and I found one. So I take it over there, third floor, get it up there. I'm putting it together and one of the drawers falls apart. And I just, man, this is a POS. I was bummed, I got a broken drawer. So I put the top 4 in, the bottom one's empty. And the little girl walks in, she goes, perfect. And then she runs out and she grabs a rabbit and she came in and she made a bedroom bottom of it. And I'm like, I need to think more like you. I need to think more like a kid. And I use that as motivation. And we were able to find 17 single moms, 17 Christmas trees that year. And I had people donating cash and money and coats and things. And I do love being of service. And I just gave it all. It's like, I'm just the go through, I had a gal in St. George who had 3 kids from Africa and couldn't give them Christmas that year. And I have a friend who had 3 daughters and I said, hey, you want to have fun? Let your daughters go shopping and take them out. But please I want them to have a Christmas dinner. But I was able to give them $500 to go shopping with. And they bought a Walmart card. They bought dinner somewhere down in St. George. And they ended up taking it over and the girls loved it. They're like, can we do another? And there's one gal that was going to donate a Christmas tree. And I'm like, well, let me see yours. And it was like 1 foot tall. It sit on her table. And I'm like, no, you need one. And she's in recovery and she was missing her arm. And I couldn't get up north. I couldn't do it. I called my sister-in-law. I said, hey, will you pick up this tree in Farmington and take it to Layton? And I need your help, though. See if your kids will help me decorate it. And they're still friends. And they took it over. They put the tree up and they helped her decorate it. And they ended up sharing their Christmas with this gal. And those kind of stories warm my heart.
Yeah.
That little girl inspired me, still inspires me. I still have her picture on my phone. And it's one of my favorites. And every time I go out, I think of her. And that's why I'm doing what I like to do. It's to see her smile and grab that branch and walk in and to see the way she could put the rabbit in the bottom drawer and like where the drawer broke I need to think more like a kid.
Yeah.
Well, all these stories that you're telling reflect back kind of how we started of memories are really what make life go around.
Yep.
And it's these new memories that you have been making by working with the homeless and by serving others that have replaced all of those years of addiction, all of those years of things that you didn't care what you were doing. And half the time you probably didn't even know what you were doing because you were just thinking about your next fix, your next high, your next drink.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing that when we take this energy and shift it, repurpose and think about others instead of ourselves, what can happen?
I still say this. I can fix the world looking out that window, but I hate working on the guy in the mirror.
Yeah.
And I've learned if I will focus on the guy in the mirror, I can actually walk outside and enjoy the world. And it's still a work in progress. I mean, I've got some clean time and I've done a lot of things, but I finally understand. The more I learn, the less I know. Started to make sense.
Yeah.
And that phrase used to just tick me off and like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what that means. Now I do.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a cool addiction to
now just want to help people. Like that's your new addiction that you've replaced it with.
I used to say that I'm being selfish. I'm really stealing feelings. I'm making myself feel good by doing this, but it's
altruistic.
Who I want to be. And I remember one time I went up and it was right around Christmas and I'd done a bunch of donations and driven around. And this is kind of an odd one. There was someone at work. She had a connection. She said, "Do you want 50 suits?" I'm like, "Yeah." And there was a gentleman who I knew who was a lawyer who had passed away, and he had a bunch of really nice suits. And I grabbed 50 suits, like some Italian shoes and white shirts, and I still have couple of their ties. And I went up to the Haven and gave it to their men's and said, "Hey, can you help me carry these in?" And 3 of them were like, "We've never owned a suit before." I'm like, "Oh,
now you do."
And if you dress in these, you're going to feel better. If you need to go to court, you're going to look better. If you need to go to a job interview, you're going to look better. And sadly, one of them overdosed and died and was buried in one of those suits. And 4 of his friends carried his casket wearing suits. But to be able to give those 50, I remember calling my mom because I learned this from her. Like we always had a sub for Santa. We always picked a family and we didn't have much growing up, but we always made sure we gave. And I just said, "Mom, I don't want you to say anything. I don't want you to talk. I just want to thank you for teaching me who I am, teaching me who I want to be, to the gift of giving. And thank you for making me who I am." And she just said, "You're welcome." And we hung up. And I learned a long time ago through my bishop, I had somebody who was giving to me, he gave me a snowblower, like a really nice Honda with the tracks. And I'm like, "I'm not taking this." And I went down to get one of those kitchen tables from DI and I thought it was going to be a hexagon with glass, like $10. Everybody's have one. No, it's a brand new oak table with the sleeve in it. And like, "I'm not taking this. I'm not accepting this." He goes, "Yes, you are." I go, "No, I'm not." And he goes, "You don't have the right to deny someone else the gift of giving." And I was like, damn. I mean, sometimes you have to accept help.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to ask for help. And in the early years, and even now, it's like there's times I'll take it, and let other people feel that same joy that I'm trying to give myself. And sometimes I'm the one on the receiving end.
Yeah.
And it's harder, but I've learned that sometimes I need the help.
Yeah.
Especially in the early years, I needed help. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing with addiction. I remember going to church and one time I woke up and I just wanted to get high. I wanted to use so bad. And for some reason, there's this gal at church and her name's Sister Budge. I call her my rock and cellist friend. She's probably 85 now. And I called her up and I just said, "Hey, have you had breakfast?" She goes, "No, have you?" I go, "I haven't." And I just waited. She's like, "Would you like to come over for breakfast?" I go, "I'd love to." He invited me. And by the time I got there, she had ham and biscuits and like eggs. And I mean, just everything. We sat out on her patio and ate, and her husband was alive. And I remember just sitting there talking to them. And then I said, I knew I would have a better day, but I wanted to get high when I woke up. And for some reason, you kept coming to mind. And I had to invite myself over for breakfast. And I knew the fact that I am talking about this with you means I have to go to church on Sunday and I'm not going to get high till then. because I'm going to talk to you guys. And it kept me sober one more day.
Yeah.
And I still, like, I'm sharing this right now, but I share that story at least once a week and talk about her. And every week I see her in church and give her a big hug. I go, I talked about you 3 times this week, once this week. And it's just part of my story.
Yeah.
She's a huge part. She has no idea what that meant to me.
Yeah.
She does. She might.
She does now. Yeah.
But in that moment, that saved my life another day. It kept me sober another day.
Yeah.
And
You were strong enough to call her and know that you couldn't be alone in that point too.
I couldn't. I needed somebody, and for some reason it was her turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had to ask her for the help.
Yeah.
And I don't think she knew it, but I had a really good breakfast. I'll take that. So
That's so beautiful.
Well, we've talked about a couple programs that you work with, Jay, but I kind of wanted to run through some of these, just kind of list all these different programs that you have either helped out with or been involved with, because a lot of people listening probably don't know about these resources that are out there for people who are struggling, people who are homeless, different things. So let's kind of just talk about it. I mean, so we talked about Cuts for Care, or Care Cuts
is one. I worked for Legacy Initiative, that's the one that did the burritos.
Okay.
Soap to Hope is one of that is really dear to me. It's my friend January Riggins that started it, and they work with women that have been abused or trafficked.
Okay.
They help get them scholarships. They'll get them into treatment.
Maybe you can help us.
I donated 75 coats to them.
I love the Soap for Hope. I found that one online. Maybe you can help us get January on the show because I've reached out to her a few times. But
I would love there's January and Carrie, and they just brought in Natalie, I think.
Yeah.
And
what do they do at Soap for Hope? So what's behind that?
What they do is when I met January, it's a funny story. I'm up at Courtney Averett's house, and she would have this pool party, barbecue, NA meeting. And it would kind of go in that order. And I found out about it, and I've known Courtney, and I get up there, and January is someone that keeps popping up on my Facebook, but I don't want to be that creeper guy that just hits up the girls. And at the time I hadn't met her yet. And then she shows up at the NA meeting, and she's sitting right behind me, and we started talking, and they do hygiene kits.
Okay.
They do sex kits, and they do needle exchange downtown. And I wasn't a big fan of needle exchange at first, but to me, if you're not ready to stop, let's at least keep you safe.
Yeah.
Let's at least keep that from getting infected or keeping you from dying or sharing a needle,
or sharing diseases.
Yeah. And I said, can I go out with you? She goes, I've heard of you, and I'll let you go once, but I'm going to keep an eye on you. And I went out, and we went to these crazy hotels and motels downtown Salt Lake, and we'd knock on every door and offer a hygiene kit. And when she pulled up, everybody knew her, and they'd run out and talk to her. Have you seen so-and-so? We haven't seen him for a couple of days. Or, I mean, I heard some of the most craziest, horrific stories downtown, or saw people going from one room to the next, just, selling themselves. And you know what? That's going to happen. We're going to keep you safe. We're going to give you these kits. And if you want the help, we have the resources.
Yeah.
And just being out there and letting them know was huge. And she holds this gala every year, and I started playing volleyball with her, and I fell in love. I went to the gala, and I'm like, you know what? I play volleyball with her. I'm just going to show up and eat 30 minutes. And I walked out when she locked the door and turned out the lights, and I cried the whole way home. Like, I didn't realize how much sex trafficking happens and how much that is part of Utah.
Yeah.
And I felt like an ostrich with my head in the sand. And I learned a lot, and I love going to her galas now.
Soap for Hope is an amazing foundation.
And talking about her, but that's just one organization. I can't remember the name, but we'd go down to this church in South Salt Lake and make 1,000 sandwiches, like just peanut butter and jellies. But the coolest thing is they had a table with kids that would write them a note on every sandwich, and we'd wrap it up into it. And then we'd go walk around and hand out sandwiches, Otter Pops when it's hot chocolate when it's cold, and give them to the homeless. And we just walk around and talk to people. And most people just want to be seen and heard.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I learned at Care Cuts just how much that name really means. And when you meet people and talk to them and you see them again and you walk the tracks and hand out just double cheeseburgers and chicken sandwiches.
Yeah.
You know, and most people, I mean, to me, it's like, I want 20 of those because I want to eat for like the week. And no, they take one or two. And then those guys are hungry and you're hungry and they want everybody to eat. And there's a survivor society out there it's amazing. And one of the biggest things I learned was a lot of people like doing this at Christmas. And we did one where one of our friends was putting together I think it was at the Rio Grande underneath the back, and we fed 400 people chili dinner in an hour and a half.
Wow.
And it was chaotic. I mean, we had all these people with crock pots that came in with different chili, and we had cornbread, and we had dental kits and hygiene kits and warm blankets and gloves and hats. We had a Santa that was there. We had a petting zoo that showed up. And we ended up, it was kind of chaotic, and I was helping organize. So we had, okay, well, you are in group A, you're in group B, you're in group C, and we go 20 minutes and the chili would be out. And at the end of it, we're like, okay, stop, freeze. Thank you for your service. You guys jump in and give more chili. And at the end, I'm looking at it like, we're going to run out of chili. There's like people and we don't have enough. And this is one of those God moments where at the very end, this gal runs up and she's got a crock pot full of chili. She says, I'm sorry I'm late. Can I still give out some chili? We filled up the cups and handed out. I gave the last 2 cups to 2 volunteers that were hungry.
Wow.
And it just worked out perfect. One guy, it was his birthday, and we had like 500 people sing him happy birthday. And we had Santa giving gifts to kids. And that's just on Christmas. But then I love that, like Courtney Averett, it wasn't Soap to Hope, but she does this purse drive where we gave out purses and probably 400 or 500 purses. And we gave them to women that needed purses, but they put makeup and kits in it. I had a friend of my mom's was a concert pianist and kind of a hoarder, and she died. And I gave out 260 pair of size 8 shoes that were all formal shoes. And I just drive around like, hey, do you guys want some shoes? No. Why? I'm like, well, why not? They're 8.5s. And they'd look at them and they'd pick through them. And I gave out, she had 17 Toblerone chocolate bars I gave to the homeless, and makeup and just all kinds of different things. That I had a friend that worked at a warehouse that these boxes got crunched, and I gave out 260 Sephora bags full of makeup. And I gave everyone at CERT got a bag. I made sure all of the housekeepers got a bag. I went up to, we had a sober volleyball league. And I walked in, I felt like Santa. I had this black bag. I'm like, hey, you want some makeup? Why? I'm like, who cares why? It's like good stuff. And I throw them a bag and they're like, dude, this is better than I buy. And it was just, it felt really good to just hand that
out.
And there's just a ton of ways. But the biggest thing, like they would do a blanket drive, and I started doing it at church, but do one in February, do one in March. People are still cold.
Right.
People are still hungry. And it's great to give at Christmas, and everybody wants to do that for the holidays. But you pick different times of the years and you find organizations that are doing it, and they do it year round.
And don't forget about the other months of the year.
About the other months, because I would go to my church and can I do a coat drive and a blanket drive? And Mikey at work did one, and I donated to him so he could go hand them out. And there's organizations in Utah County now that give them out. Genesis down in Provo that gives out a lot of clothing. After our dinner at Cirque, Britt came up to me and she goes, we had J Dogs and Waffle Love. And she goes, what do we do with all this food? I'm like, I got it.
Yeah.
I know what we can do with it.
No,
Took it down to Genesis and we had like 75 or 80 hot dogs.
wow.
And we just came to the homeless and waffles and all the toppings and like bottles of the sauce. I'm like, you know what? Let's give it to the homeless. And unfortunately, my dog passed away. I put her down last night, but I've got 2 dog beds and a bunch of dog food and treats that we're going to bag up and just go hand them out to, if we see a dog on the streets, that's when somebody's
where
got a
it's
dog,
gonna go.
that we're going to give it to them. And it's that kind of stuff keeps me sober. That kind of stuff keeps me smiling. And it's a big part of my life. And I love being in the middle of that. And it's kind of cool when somebody reaches out like, hey, I need a washer and dryer and I can't afford it. Found one in a
Jay's
day and
gonna
a
be the
half.
one to find it.
Like, found him a couch, found him if somebody has an extra bed or an extra mattress I put an ad out for a queen bed and I ended up with 5.
Huh.
Wow.
It's like, okay, pick one. Which
Yeah.
one do you want? This one's nice.
Well, and everything you're talking about, all these different organizations that are helping the homeless, all what they do for you, the core that I think all of us forget from time to time is, guess what? We're all just people.
Yeah.
We are all just people. We all go through the shit at different times in our life. Some of us end up homeless. Some of us end up in rehab. Some of us end up with divorce. All these things happen to us. But at the core, we need to remember that we are just all human. And we're here to help each other. If somebody's struggling, don't put that judgment right there at first.
There was a gal that worked for Harmon's and they donated a pallet of water and a pallet of like protein bars and fruit and different things that we were able to give out at one of the Care Cuts events. Well, we did the gala and this gal showed up and she was working with their charitable department and she's the one that helped us organize that. But she stood up and talked and I had no idea, but she said 14 years ago, I was homeless with 3 daughters living in Atlanta in a shelter. And now I'm able to give back. And I I looked at her and I was crying and just it's full circle. Now she's on the other side, but she needed that help. And she's just a human who had a struggle and went through it and was able to get a good job with Harmon's. And now she can give back. And it was beautiful to watch. I've seen like this Tongan family came up to Care Cuts and the son and the dad just wanted a buzz cut because it's summer and it's hot. And the girls had this long, curly, just frizzy hair. And they're like, no, they don't know how to work on my hair. They don't know how to work on my hair. And this Samoan cutter came up and said, yeah, I do. Come with me. And those 3 all got the haircuts they wanted from somebody that could. We have a gentleman he's this black guy that's really good at clipping and fades and different things. And it's funny because people line up like, we want him, we want him. And he started bringing other people and he's been to several events. And after a while, it's like, hey, he can only do like 4 more haircuts and that's it. Cause we're done at 3 and we got to go, and but it's cool to watch. Going to Bud Bailey. Last time I was there, I had 5 kids come up and high five me. And Bud Bailey, again, is with a lot of immigration. We had this blow up, this like a big obstacle course and slide, and I was hosing it down, and they're having a water fight. And I'd fill up their water bottles, and they try to spray me. I'm like, the dude with the hose is going to win it. But they still had fun. But one gal lost her top, and she was embarrassed, and all the girls went around, and all the guys just stood there with their backs to her and just let her go back in, get it wrapped up, and come back out. And there was one gal that she was angry. And she's like, you guys are just here for photo ops and this and that. And I'm like, no, we're not. I go, do you want your hair cut? And she goes, no, I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be like, you guys are just trying to just use us. I'm like, well, actually come with me. And she came back, and this is the coolest thing. They had tape, and this is Hillary. I'm not allowed to go past this tape. There's a curtain and there's a door, and they're going to take you back there. And people with hijabs that couldn't take them off in front of men, there's only women back there, and there's no photography allowed back there. And they can take that down, get their haircut, get their makeup, get their nails, get proper, and come back out and stay within their religion. And I'm not allowed. Hillary's going to take you back beyond this tape. I'm not allowed back there. And we will not take your photo unless you sign this waiver. And that's one of the things that we did. And I love that we got to do that. And that gal in the hijab went back to her apartment and started recruiting people. That other gal that was mad at me came back and gave me a hug, and we got a before and after photo with her. And she was okay to taking that. But then she went and got other people, and I said, look, we're not going to put your photo out unless you sign this waiver. And we have this form and waiver, and we're careful on who we take pictures of and who we don't.
Yeah.
You know, and we're not taking pictures. That little 3-year-old girl that I held her head, we didn't get a picture of her. You know, it's just
you're doing it because you want to help. You're not doing it to get the credit.
It's not
about that. And that's what so many people, I guess, misjudge.
Yeah.
Is they think that you're just doing it just to get the credit, just to do it. But it's because of the situation they're in. Their walls are up. They're very defensive. They're very careful because they're in one of the worst times of their life at that moment, and they've got to be careful. And they think that everybody else is out to benefit from them. And once you break those walls down with caring and just having a loving conversation, just let them know that we're here to offer whatever service, if it's Soul for Hope, or if it's care cuts, or whatever it is, you're there to help them. And it's contagious.
We started a page called The Helpers, and Jody Bowles and Michael Feindice and I decided, like, all right, Michael did the website. It was on Facebook. And at first we went to Macy's grocery store, and it was when COVID hit, and we had toilet paper, we had flour, we got a 50-pound bag, and we put 2 pounds in a Ziploc. And if you need it, take it. If you need some toilet paper, 2 rolls per person. And we gave out eggs, bread. I had 7 bags of clothing. And I remember I had a bunch of sleeping bags, and the guy's like, how much? I'm like, no, take them. They're yours. He goes, well, I need 4. I'm like, take them all. They're yours. Like, if I go, I don't want to put this back in my truck. And the next week we went and put it on the sidewalk, and it started when we started distancing. And at first it was kind of weird that you can't go give away things and get that, you get that hug and get the boys. And then it turned into like Sub for Santa. It's like, you know what? It's kind of fun. Like, they need this. Well, we're going to give them this plus some of this. I mean, everybody needs toilet paper back then. It was hard. And I remember one time there was a family of 6 that they couldn't find any toilet paper. And I went around to 6 different places, and I got a 4-pack. And I felt bad because there's a family of 6, and I dropped off a 4-pack. And somebody messaged me, and some stranger that just was part of the helpers and liked what we were doing. She said, did you find toilet paper for them? I go, no. She goes, Costco had some, and I got an extra 36 rolls. Can I drop them off? I'm like, yeah. I've never met this person. I don't know them. And they dropped them off, and we were able to get it for them.
Yeah.
And it's just watching people light up and give and buy things and donate things. And that was during COVID. That was way before Christmas. And that's just one example of many, many, many.
Yeah.
And that page, I still put things on there. And if somebody needs some things, I find bookshelves, I find washer and dryer, or 3 sets. I
Yeah.
mean, I think I gave out 6 sets last year, and I have a truck and I know how to move them, but I didn't pay for any of it. And I'm just helping other people
Yeah,
smile.
you're just paying it forward from person to person, and everybody's just kind of jumping on board. So
Something to do on a Wednesday night or a Thursday
Yeah.
night, and I'm gonna go deliver washer and dryer and then go to dinner.
nice.
And it makes me feel good. It makes them feel great. They got a washer and dryer, and I mean, who doesn't want a washer and dryer?
Yeah.
Talk about the epitome of the man who would give his shirt off of his back if he needed it. That's just whenever I think of you, that's
But
the first thing that comes to
And
mind.
half the time I see Jay doesn't have a shirt anyway, so I already gave it away. So
I call myself the Hawaiian Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
I don't go home and change my sweater and put on some house slipper. I take off my shirt and
Yeah.
dive in the river.
yeah,
And I love it. But I remember doing a legacy, and I watched a guy actually give the shirt off his back.
Yeah.
And he gave it to a homeless guy and gave him his coat. And he walked around in the cold, bare chested. And I'm like, you know what? There's nothing I'm not going to do for somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm able to do it, I'm going to do it. And it's kind of contagious, and
It
it
is.
helps other people. And when people see what you do, they start doing it.
Yeah.
It inspires others.
But I learned because I watched January do that and start Soap to Hope. And I heard her story and I heard other stories, and watching others doing what they're doing, but with a smile and with happiness. And I'm just that vessel in the middle that I've, there's places that'll take donations, and there's places I just took donations to Sunday.
Mhm.
And I had a box of men's clothing of someone who from Cirque, it's one of the moms that, hey, I've got a bunch of men's clothes. Can I ship them to you? Like, yeah, I'll take them.
Yeah.
And I didn't even open the box. I took it up and donated. Like, here, it's a bunch of men's clothing. And if it fits, take them.
So, if any of our listeners are out there and might need a leg up, might need some help,
Yeah.
what would your suggestion be, or can they reach out to you or
reach out to me, reach out on Facebook. I had somebody last night who said, will you please make a post? And I'm going to make one as soon as we're done here. There's a gal that's pregnant that they're trying to find a sober living for, but she needs food. And I'm going to put a post out. And if they need food, I'm like, I'll go pick it up and drop it off.
Yeah.
If there's gift card, if there's just anything, it's like, we'll give it.
Yeah.
I love being of service. I love being helpful. And in a way, it's just, I'm kind of cheating it because it's bringing smiles to
to
me
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's filling my heart, but I can't afford it. I don't take it, but I can drop it off. I can pick it up and drop it off.
Yeah.
And it makes you happy. It makes me happy, and it makes them happy. Well, there's 3 smiles I got today.
Yeah.
And I learned a long time ago, I walked into a 7-Eleven to buy a Slurpee, and there was a gal who's holding probably a 2-year-old or less. She's on the phone. The kid's crying and she's trying to get a drink. I'm trying to get a Slurpee, and I just started playing peekaboo with the kid. And she gave me a weird look, and then the kid started laughing and she saw what I was doing, and she walked out. She paid for her drink, and she just turned and put her phone down and said, thank you. And that was it, and I made the kid happy, and I made her happy, and I made me happy.
Yeah.
And I walked up to the front desk and I went to hand to pay off for my Slurpee, and the girl fist bumps me. And I was like, that was kind of cute.
Yeah.
And then I gave the money back, and I had $1.27 exact change out of my ashtray, and I paid her. And the rest of that summer, every time I bought a Slurpee, I got a fist bump, and then I gave her exact change.
Nice.
And it was just from that kid that was crying.
Yeah.
Just, you know what? I'm going to help him smile.
Yeah.
And it's contagious. But I go back to, I thank my mom for that.
Yeah.
She would pick up people. I remember a friend of ours that we knew for a long time. She unfortunately has passed away from a disease, but my mom just walked by her and, are you doing okay? And I mean, she would do that with strangers and bring strangers into our house we don't have much, but we have this. We can make a meal and we can share it.
Yeah.
And this gal became one of my one of our best friends of our family, and she at the time was going to BYU. She was on scholarship, so she couldn't hold a job. She was hungry, and she would come over and eat, but she would get us some best French chocolates and cheeses every Christmas, and her family would send it over and she'd give it to us. And she just, I mean, I was sad when I went to her funeral, but she had a bright yellow casket. I remember that. Her name's Anique, and but I get it from my mom.
Yeah.
I mean, it just passed on, but I had to be reminded through recovery, through Neil Dastrup, through this service, and through my bishop, and through so many people along the way. Who am I and who do I want to be?
I like that.
And that's finding that out and finding out who I'm not. And I want to be this type of person. I want to be the person that's known to show up. I want to be the person that my dog saved my life, and I
The
can
person
thank
that
her for
helps
that,
others.
and start the helpers page. And but I also had to learn, and I learned this through my dog. I can take a picture of my toes, the river, and my dog. That's not a bad Tuesday. I got to have some J days in there too. There are times where I take for myself, and I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
But I do remember going home once, and I'm on the river, and I'm like, I'm done with recovery. I've talked recovery all day. I'm sick of it. I'm just going to go jump in the river. And I hear Jay, and I'm like, crap. There's somebody I know from the paddleboard meeting and her boyfriend, and there's like 6 kids and her dad. And I'm like, man, I got to go over and swim over to the rock and photobomb them and talk to them. And at the end of that night, I remember talking to there's this lady that's sitting on the river, and I hadn't talked to her yet, but I'd seen her 2 or 3 times and just said hi. And I went over and talked to her, and I found out she has to go to the police station. She has custody of her son, but her ex can visit with him at the police station. And she told me her story, and I remember it. I mean, this guy was there and had been locked up, but had the SWAT team surround his house and get him out when he was not going to be taken alive. And she was coming up there to try to calm down and not think about, my kids with the ex. And we had the biggest talk of recovery. And I just remember it's dark and I got to dive back over, and I don't like being in the water when it's dark, but I swam back over and I just looked up like, guess I wasn't done yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like,
God.
God had a different
Yeah.
plan for
Yeah.
me. And so he puts you in different places. I mean, like this talk right here,
Yeah.
Well,
and as we're wrapping up here, Jay, I have one last question. And you have gave so much amazing stories and advice to everybody listening. But if there's one piece or 2 pieces of advice that you could throw out to everybody listening today that you've learned along the way, what would that be? What would you like to share with everybody or even reiterate something that you said?
I think the biggest thing, and the thing I push into the workshops I do at work and as I talk to people, is stay connected. I know isolation, and there are times I need those J days where I'm just by myself.
Right.
But I had someone just recently, my good friend Kaylee, she said, I almost came up and checked on you because I haven't seen your posts and I haven't heard from you in a while, and stay connected. I say that because when I had somebody at work, and I get to call alumni, and I love what I get to do. And she goes, Jay, how did you know to call me? I'm like, because you stopped answering the phone. You always answer. And when you don't, I'm going to call more, and I'm going to call at odd times. And it might be late. I'm thinking about you at 8:00. I'm going to give you a call. And it's 9:00 where you live, or on a Sunday, and I tell people all the time at work, I don't care if it's 3 in the morning. If you need to talk to me, call me, because I woke up a lot of people. I bought a lot of pancakes at Denny's for people. And I would rather hear from you at 3 in the morning than hear about you in 3 days.
Yeah.
And those calls suck, and we've all had them. I don't want them. And I mean, I'll take them, but I don't want them. But stay connected. And I'm blessed with not everybody is blessed this way, but family is huge to me. I've got a mom that is amazing, and I've got a brother that is my rock, and I've lost my youngest brother, and I lost my dad recently. And I've learned through doing these cold plunges that we are stronger than we believe we are.
Yeah.
And stay connected, stay tight with the family, find out, even if it's you chose your family, stay tight with them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've got Ohana means family, and I've got a big one, and I love my family, and I got a 9-year-old niece that plays rugby, and it's so cool to go down and watch her play. And I still am learning the rules and how it works, but I went down to Vineyard Park, and there's 5,000 polys, and I'm like, damn, we all look alike. I walk up, and I'm kind of, I don't know what it's like, A through F, and this guy walks up and he goes, "Who you looking for?" I go, "Maile Tamanalavu." "Oh, she's right there. There's her mom." I'm like, "Oh, there's my mom." I mean, I got lucky, but I watched her play, and it was fun. And just stay connected. And for me, kids, I mean, you've seen my fridge at work. I've got Miley and Nia are on my fridge, and I call them my sober companions. If I'm having a bad hair day, I just go pick them up, and they just want to play in my truck or go get ice cream or go to In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah.
And I like all that. You know,
Yeah.
I'll stay connected. But the two things I would say is if you have family, connect.
Yeah.
And stay connected with your friends and your circle.
Mhm.
Because there's times I'll walk into your office and just seeing that smile or talking Red Rocks and what show you just went to that's what I needed to just, now your voice is in my head and mine's not.
Yeah.
Mine's been up there for hours and it ain't being very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes I need Hillary's voice up there. Sometimes I need your voice up there. And it's stay connected.
Yeah. I love that. I really do.
Mhm.
Jay, this has been awesome. It's always so much fun to hang out and chat and, learn more about you and what you've been through and some of the service work you're going. I had no idea how many different things you've been involved in. So really thank you for sharing. And everybody, if you want to get involved, you want to donate, if you have things to get away, look up Jay on Facebook is probably one of the easiest ways, right?
Yeah.
And or just reach out to Hillary or myself, and we'll get you in contact with Jay, and he will find somebody for whatever you guys have that you don't need anymore. He is the connector, and we all need one of those in our lives. So
I love being a part of that. I love being of service, and if I can help somebody smile, it's gonna make me smile.
Yeah.
And it's also keeping me sober. And a lot of the care cuts I do on a Sunday, and I miss church, or the paddleboard meeting we did on a Sunday. We started an AA meeting on stand-up paddleboard, and it went for 5 years, 6 years. And unfortunately, my friend moved and sold all the boards, but we had 42 was our average one year, and we had 60 as our high. 60 people showed up. And I mean, do what you can do, if you're into recovery and you're into the AA thing. We had somebody suggest, bring your own pet and have it at a dog park.
Yeah.
And hold an AA meeting once a week at a dog park.
Yeah.
And I love that idea, Backyard fires are really cool. Or there used to be one up in the mountains. There used to be one at Timpanogos Park. But stay connected.
Stay
Do what
connected.
you can do. And it's not like you're the only one that can do it, You might just drop the rock in the pond, and wow, a lot of people caught that wave.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool to stay connected.
Absolutely.
It's my biggest thing.
Jay, thank you for being of service and sharing with us today.
Thanks for having
It's
me.
been such a
Seriously.
pleasure.
Yeah.
And I need some of these pickles. So spread the word. And I love what you guys do. And
thank you.
Been awesome.
Yeah. And everybody, thank you again for tuning in this week. hanging out with us to listen about Jay's journey and his story and all of the amazing things that he does here in the community in Utah for the homeless and the recovery communities. And again, if you want to reach out to him, check him out on Facebook as Jay Gould, or reach out to us and we'll get you guys connected. But everybody listening today had somebody come to mind. Somebody came to mind with something that Jay shared today, with something we shared today that popped in your head. Take this episode and share it with that person. There was a reason it came up. We continue to do this every week and we continue to grow because you guys are sharing this information. So we challenge you to share this episode with the person that came to mind while you were listening. We can't wait to be back next week with all of you. We've got some exciting stuff happening. But until then, just like Jay said, keep that smile on your face. Keep your head up. And don't forget that you're
a big deal.